Let's go to Litchfield, Illinois, and look at some of the hail that was happening there. That was on Sunday. And Kit, you've got more on the heat, though. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, Patrick, we saw some of those severe thunderstorms moving through parts of sort of the periphery of this heat dome around the area. So sometimes when we've got that high pressure to the south, you can start to see some of those severe thunderstorms sort of riding the ridge is what we call it. But here's a selection of some of those record heat values we saw. Childress, Texas, up to 111 yesterday, 109 in Abilene, shattering a lot of those records across the south. Now, here's a look at the wide view of those heat alerts. So we've got the metros of Minneapolis, Tulsa, Fort Smith, Arkansas, the central Mississippi River Valley, all within that excessive heat warning. That's where we're going to see the very dangerous heat index values, very high dew points out there as well, and that's going to really rocket up those feels like temperatures. So Memphis, high temperature of 98 degrees, factor in that humidity, it's going to feel like it's 111 today. So definitely a very oppressive heat out there. Even Minneapolis, a little bit of that heat index in there. It's not going to be oppressive for you, but Atlanta, it feels like 102 down there. Now, when we're talking about that heat index number, whenever we're in that 103 to 124 range, fortunately, we're not quite that high, but that's when it starts to get pretty dangerous. That's where you get that heat exhaustion, really likely heat stroke. If you're out for a long time, you're definitely going to be under a risk for that. Look at some of these dew points, though. 75 in St. Louis, 81 in Louisville. So there's just so much of this moisture streaming up through the central U.S. that's just making it incredibly muggy out there. If you're in too cold of a building, you walk out, your glasses are going to fog up. That's happened to me before. But like I said, we've got this dome of high pressure. It's going to start building east in the days to come. So the Carolinas are also up next. We have some more heat alerts out there. They're going to be looking at those temperatures feeling well over 100 as well. Now, of course, like I said, we've got that severe weather riding on the top side of that ridge, so we've got more chances for that in the days to come, Patrick.
Yeah, and when we're looking at Richmond, Virginia, Virginia is going to get back into that severe weather threat as we make our way into Tuesday, and we'll talk about that in the East Regional Forecast. That comes up here in just a few minutes.
We do want to talk about the severe weather threat that's going to continue as we get through tomorrow, because we have multiple days where we could see severe storms.
Yeah, Lana, we've been tracking sort of this upper level low pressure system that's bringing some of the energy. It's also bringing some of that snow to the northern Rockies that we were talking about earlier. But we'll have more details in your Western Regional Forecast in a little bit. But across the north central, now this is still some of the remnants of the atmospheric river, some of the energy combining with the moisture as well around this area. So this is it moving into Tuesday now. We have had this update within the last couple hours here. That slight risk across Iowa and eastern Nebraska out towards south central Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, down to Hays, Kansas as well. That marginal threat does continue. So that's the update. Of course, we always want to remind you to stay updated with us here on Weather Nation, because we've got to refine and tweak the forecast as we get closer to it. So again, this is still into Tuesday, but that hail risk is the greater threat there around those areas. But also from the Des Moines metro out to near Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, that area, Maryville up in northwestern Missouri, and then down to Manhattan, Kansas, and even the Tri-Cities area, or the Lincoln-Beatrice area, could see an isolated tornado threat right along that cold front. So as we look through the forecast here, we see some of those thunderstorms firing into Nebraska and Iowa. And then as we get into Wednesday early morning, so this is a late Tuesday, early Wednesday time frame here, we see by daybreak some pretty strong thunderstorms, it looks like, there across the southeastern part of Minnesota, northeastern Iowa as well. That'll push into Wisconsin as we head into the day on Wednesday. The available energy, we call this convective available potential energy, so we abbreviate that to CAPE. It's not just a superhero term, but that's the energy in the atmosphere that we look at the dew points at the surface as well as the heat, and then we have to look at the mid-levels of the atmosphere. How much warm air is there aloft? If it's very cold and you've got warm air below, it really wants to rise. Think of a balloon held underwater. Once you let it go, those thunderstorms are going to rocket up with vigorous updrafts and pretty strong thunderstorms.
We now want to take you out to Viper Radar, show you where some of the storms are going to be happening here today.
Yeah, thanks, Taban. So out there, we're looking at several thunderstorms that have rolled through the Carmel, Indiana area. This is a pretty cool time lapse showing sort of the backside of some of those thunderstorms. You can see on the lower level and just a little bit above the base of those clouds, you've got a little bit of that shear, the difference in direction of those winds with height. Looking out the visible satellite, high resolution imagery here, we can take a look at just every minute over the last 30 minutes or so here. We've had numerous severe thunderstorms across this part of Indiana. You can even see on that high resolution satellite imagery right here, you've got some of those shadows of the bubbling updrafts getting into the next layer of the atmosphere called the stratosphere, where we're starting to see it being a little bit more stable. So they cap off. And that's why we've got this wide area of cloud cover across Indiana right now. We can look at another thing that gives us sort of a false color image of some of those thunderstorms. And we see another cluster of very cold clouds way up here in Wisconsin. This is the next area of severe weather that we're looking at the potential of as it moves in across Lake Michigan over the next several hours. We've got that day one chance for severe weather here has been upgraded to a moderate risk. That's a level 4 out of a 5 category system. So let's break that down now. As we look at the wind threat, that's the main threat with this severe weather that we're looking at the potential for today, with the potential for upwards of 70-mile-per-hour winds in a wide swath. This could be a long duration high wind event. So looking at the significant wind potential, that's right there along where we see that greatest risk for the severe weather. We could see upwards of 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts in many locations. So of course, you want to stay with us right here on Weather Nation. We'll bring you all of the updates on that forecast as we head throughout the afternoon. Check out this wild video out of Madison, Wisconsin from just a couple hours ago. We've seen a severe thunderstorm that went through the Madison area, brought some very heavy winds and a lot of heavy rain you can see in there. You can see the sheets just whipping around on the pavement. And of course, those trees just completely flipped over with some of those branches. Now, that severe thunderstorm is still ongoing in parts of Wisconsin, moving towards the Milwaukee area. So we want to bring you the latest information on this storm as it's really knocking on your doorstep, Milwaukee. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning right now until 4:45 p.m. That's for Milwaukee County, of course, and then the very northern parts of Racine County, excuse me. If I've mispronounced that, please let us know on Weather Nation. We'll get that pronunciation corrected for you. But we're looking at the potential for some very strong winds with this storm. Of course, it's moving into the Milwaukee area. 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible, but also up to golf ball-sized hail. So that can cause some considerable damage, a lot of widespread vehicle damage likely with this storm. So if you are in the Milwaukee area or really anywhere along the I-94 corridor, make sure you're getting your car into your carport or into your garage in the next 5 minutes or so, because this storm is knocking on your doorstep. A lot of lightning as well, so you don't want to spend too much time outside gawking at the storm as it's coming in. Just in the last 10 minutes, we've seen over 200 lightning strikes from this single cell of a thunderstorm. So it's actually going to be sort of the seed for what's the Storm Prediction Center. That's the official one. You always hear us talking about the enhanced, the moderate risk, which we've just seen it upgraded to moderate risk. The Storm Prediction Center, in issuing that moderate risk for the Michigan, Indiana and Ohio area, in their discussion, they are saying a possible derecho could come from this. A derecho is a long-lasting, extremely high wind event that can cause a lot of widespread damage. So that one thunderstorm we're looking at is looking like it's going to be the seed thunderstorm for a long line of thunderstorms that's going to develop and propagate over the next several hours. Now, you see, we've got 2 of those pink shaded regions, 2 severe thunderstorm watches, one down towards Indiana, Ohio, and northern Kentucky right now. So that's this area right here. This is for warm sector thunderstorms. So we see around moving into Ohio right now, those are some severe thunderstorms with 60, 70 mile per hour winds possible with some of those storms. That's just warm sector convection. This is the long duration wind event beginning across Milwaukee, and we'll likely see it propagating across into Ohio and into the Appalachians as we head over the next several hours tonight. So you want to stay with us here on Weather Nation as we'll continue to bring you the latest updates on those storms as they unfold. In the meantime, let's take a look at some of those severe thunderstorm warnings we've got into parts of Indiana and Ohio right now. Crossing that border, we're seeing some of the leading edge of those thunderstorms bringing 70-mile-per-hour winds into places like Darke County, Ohio, Preble County, moving down the line in Preble County again, Butler County, and into Hamilton County, and even into Boone County there in Kentucky. We could see up to 70-mile-per-hour winds with these storms, so you want to seek shelter in the most interior room of your home and a sturdy building as well. Mobile homes tend to get a little bit more damage from these high wind events.